Thank you very much indeed. Let's get a rundown now of the other stories making the news. Charlotte's got those, and I'll have the front pages of the papers for you right after this.
Thanks very much, Eamon. David Cameron's in Turkey today to secure trade and investment deals for Britain. He'll be holding talks with his Turkish counterpart, Recep Tayyip. Sunrise. 7 people, including 2 police officers, will receive bravery awards for their actions during the Glasgow terror attacks. Sergeant Torquil Campbell and PC Stuart Ferguson from Strathclyde Police will receive the Queen's Commendation for Bravery. Stephen Clarkson, Michael Kerr, Henry Lambie, check-in desk worker Michael MacDonald and taxi driver Alexander McIlveen will also receive awards later this year.
Thank you, Charlotte. I'm going to bring you the papers now on this Tuesday morning. Let's see what we've got after a rundown of what else is happening from Charlotte.
Thanks, Eamon. David Cameron's visiting Turkey to try to secure trade and investment deals for Britain. The Prime Minister will also use his visit to back Turkey's attempt to join the
Here comes Emma Barnett. Emma is the digital media editor for the Daily Telegraph, and here she is with her look through the morning newspapers. Good to see you, Emma.
Hello.
And, well, it's a cut we're dealing with, first of all, and this comes from The Times.
Yes, Jeremy Hunt announced yesterday that the British Film Council was going to be shut down, much to the surprise to many directors who've come out and already mourning the loss of it.
Now, the British Film Council, what does it actually do?
Yeah, it's the Quango that distributes public funds to the industry and decides how British films will be promoted abroad and allocates money to do so. So there's been no announcement as to how that's going to be replaced and what's going to be put in to take its place. And in terms of how it's done, I mean, there's some interesting figures here. It was created 10 years ago, and it's invested more than £160 million of lottery funding into more than 900 films in a decade, which has helped to generate £700 million at the box office.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I actually think people should invest more in this, country should invest more in this, because it is the most fantastic advert, whether it's for New York, whether it's for the Isle of Man, whether it's for Ireland, wherever it is for. Certain countries have the savvy to realise if they fund films and films are made there, it's a great advert for their country.
Yes, no, of course. I mean, I think what people are really upset about, certain film directors like Mike Leigh have come out very strongly today, is that there was no consultation. So there has been criticism of this particular council being very bloated, paying its executives, I hear, extortionate amounts, but it's just been cut straight off.
There's a lot of libraries and archives and all sorts of things attached to that. OK, that's an interesting one. Broadband speed. Now, this is right up your street, of course.
Yes.
Broadband clients get half the speed they pay for. This is in the Telegraph. And, I mean, all I know is I have a little egg cup all the time on my computer. How much of your life is wasted looking at a little egg timer thing on your computer screen?
Trying to see what you're getting. No, I mean, this is an interesting report. Ofcom, the media regulator, released some findings yesterday to show that actually most of the time you're getting half of the speed that you think you're paying for. So 11 megabits per second, and instead on average you're getting 5.2. And you wouldn't accept that type of service with water, electricity.
Well, the thing is, we don't know, do we? We
No.
don't know what it's supposed to be. Do you think you're getting the service you deserve, Charlotte?
I've got no idea, to be honest. I don't know how you would tell,
Yeah,
you know,
how
what
would you
the speed of what you're getting.
Just the lack of egg timers on your screen, is that?
Yeah, I mean, the point is a lot of people are paying up to £30 a month for this service. And, you know, in certain countries this is now seen as a human right. I think Finland.
Well, Charlotte makes a good point. How do we actually tell what we're being served on?
Well, yes, by bars you can see what's happening, but you're meant to have, you know, an average sort of speed that you're getting, which is of a high quality. And it's actually meant to be a lot worse, as we know anyway, but getting worse before it's getting better in the rural areas.
Hot property, apparently around the Olympic Village in London for 2012. It's a good place to have a property.
Yeah, this is an interesting story. Some properties are actually going to be rented out for up to 3 times the amount that they're normally rented out during market rate during the event. So they've got here a 4-bedroom house in London is fetching up to £5,000 a week. But even in Weymouth, where a lot of the sailing events are going to be held, people are cashing in with up to £3,000 a week. So the Times have picked out a particular lady who's hoping to cash in on that.
And this is just during the event?
Yes, just
the rest of the time you'll be running at a loss during the event for 2 weeks.
Well, they also, Visit London actually have predicted there will be an extra 10,600 hotel rooms in the area by 2012.
Yeah, but it's not what happens during the month of the Olympics, it's what happens I suppose, afterwards,
Yeah.
isn't it? That's the thing. How many now in your purse, in our pockets?
This is
fake,
shocking.
Fake coins.
1 in 36 pound coins is apparently counterfeit.
No.
Yes, and there's discussion from a senior figure from the Royal Mint is saying that potentially all pound coins in circulation could actually be scrapped. And there's a guide to being able to test whether your pound coin is fake or real.
What, you hit it with a hammer and see if it bends or something?
Well, apparently on
on
the edge, you might have the wrong typeface and it might be slightly jagged. And also, you know, when you go to car parks and sometimes your pound coin is rejected,
yes.
that's usually because it's fake. Apparently, it's the wrong weight, it's the wrong.
Have you ever suffered rejection, Charlotte?
No, well, you do sometimes get it, don't you, though? But you think it's the machine, maybe, that's not working properly. Yeah, but that is quite annoying. But no, I can't.
I find if you cover them in saliva, they usually stick. Usually it goes through the next time.
It's disgusting. I'll
But
try
it
to go
works.
to a car park after you if I get that change coming back out the machine.
But why women have no appetite for eating out? Tell us about that.
Yes, apparently most women, well, according to a poll by a slimming pill company, so it's convenient, are actually fearing going out. Almost 2/3 of women are fearing going out because they will succumb to the calories at a restaurant. They feel that they can count the calories better at home, and then if they go into a restaurant, they'll make sure they probably have a starter, main, dessert and a coffee.
I don't know. I find the reverse. I think it's easier to order from a menu because you can be in more control. That's just me. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. To a certain extent, though, you want to make the most of being out. I think
Yes.
so. You do kind of think, oh, well, you know, I'll order the sides and I'll order the dessert as well.
Okay, well, let us know what you think. NewsSky.com at Sky Charlotte and Eamon Holmes. And that is Emma Barnett, who will be back in an hour's time with more stories from the papers. Thank you very much indeed. Associated Press, breaking news from them. I reckon all that sweat on the shirt was spread on.
Do you think it was all fake?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Might well be. Might well
He went
be
to
all
put his
for
feet
fake.
up after
Looks
that.
good. Right, what are folks saying email-wise? And this is the petrol station situation out there this morning.
We've had a lot coming in the last few minutes, actually, since we broke the news about Greenpeace closing BP petrol stations in London. Craig says surely they're breaking the law. Everyone involved should be arrested and charged. They're stopping people from filling up their cars. Helen Masters in Norfolk says, how did they get there? Bicycle or walking? I doubt it. Where are the police? They should be acting to remove them. Peter in Hull says, if a member of Greenpeace was driving down the motorway and desperately needed petrol, the only station was a BP one, would they pull in or fill up and abandon their vehicle? And he says, I bet they'd pull in.
OK, thanks. Keep those coming in. Lucy, weather-wise, what's happening?
It's staying very cloudy and it's staying very warm. Did anyone else have an uncomfortable night's sleep?
It was warm, wasn't it?
It was so muggy. Well, it's almost time to ditch the duvet. I think that's the only way to describe it. It's definitely feeling fresh over the next few days, but for the next 24 hours at least, really muggy, really close. Quite unusual.
Rethink their strategy.
OK, that's Greenpeace's strategy, 50 petrol stations around London. They're saying they're getting support for this, Charlotte, as people drive up to these stations. They're wishing them well. Is that reflected in your emails?
No, not much support so far, actually. People quite cross about this situation. John says, I hope BP immediately take out an injunction against the eco-terrorists who have closed these petrol stations. Yvonne Ritchie says, while I sympathise with the horrendous problem of oil pollution, have Greenpeace thought about the workers at the petrol station who could lose their pay? That's just a selection of the ones coming in so far.
OK, what else have you got?
In more news today, David Cameron is in Turkey to provide backing for their application to join the EU. He'll be holding talks with his Turkish counterpart, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and meeting the country's business leaders to secure... I think a lot of people thought I meant, you know, to be a competitor. I didn't mean that. It's for these sort of assistant roles. 70,000 people. Andy Morris is one of those.
Catered for on
I know,
that
yeah, I
front
think
there,
it's covered. But, you know, it's nice that they wanted to put themselves
That's
forward.
nice.
Andy Morris said he'd volunteer for the Olympics as a runner, taking messages. He's a regular Twitterer, and he said he'd do it with his disability scooter.
The only runners who want are runners that will take messages to the post room and the post box and things like that. But that's good. Fair enough. Thank you. Paper stack. Here we go. We lead with the Financial Times.
The Olympic Park in East London.
Well, more immediately in London this morning, around 50 BP petrol stations are being blockaded by Greenpeace protesters, we hear. What's the reaction to that, Charlotte?
Yeah, more emails coming in as I speak on this. John Saunders in Hertfordshire says, isn't this just typical for Greenpeace? BP's oil rig's been leaking for over 3 months and they were noticeably absent. They're being ineffective and too late. And John in Norwich says, just who do these people think they are? It's for all of us to do our part in protecting the globe and not have them impose their will on us. I'm sure if they urgently needed petrol and the only garage was a BP one, then they would fill up. He says they deserve to have the full arm of the law brought in. It's not BP they're hurting, it's the man and the woman in the street.
I must say, looking through the emails, that's what I'm seeing as well. All anti-Greenpeace, even though the guy I interviewed this morning, he's saying he was getting public support for this as people were driving up to the petrol stations with empty tanks and being directed elsewhere. Let's speak to the Energy Secretary, Chris Huhne. He's got a big announcement to make on energy today. And before we talk about that, thank you very much indeed. That's our city editor, Mark Kleinman. A rundown of what else is happening. And then we've got Emma Barnett with the newspapers right after this from Charlotte.
Thanks, Eamon. A British soldier's been killed in Afghanistan. His family have been informed. He died in an explosion while serving with 360.